Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the first video of Thor comic series. So let's get started. Thor is the blood son of Odin, all-father of the Asgardians, and Jord, who was also known as Gia, the goddess who was one of the elder gods. Odin sought to father a son whose power would derive from both Asgard and Midgard, as the Earth realm is called by Asgardians, and hence he sought to mate with Jord. Odin created a cave in Norway where Jord gave birth to Thor 24 months after the infant Thor was weaned. Odin brought him to Asgard to be raised. Odin's wife, the goddess Frigga, acted as Thor's mother from that time onward. Not until many decades later did Thor learn that Jord was his birth mother. The Ragnarok cycle created numerous versions of Thor's origin story, and the fact that Asgard was a place of myth did not help matters when trying to keep track of all of the different stories and personalized descriptions of events. One such story came from the severed eye of Odin, which grew to great size, achieved sentience, and told Thor of another Thor who had existed before the current Thor's birth. This previous Thor was also the son of Odin but had red hair, not blonde hair like the current Thor. Thor was said in myth to have killed the Midgard serpent, and to have been killed himself by the dying monster's venom, at Ragnarok, the destruction of a previous version of Asgard. Odin himself was killed, but a new Odin appeared in the place of several gods who survived Ragnarok, and it was this new Odin who fathered the current version of Thor. It is uncertain whether a true picture of Thor's origin will ever be told. The young Thor was raised alongside Loki, who had been adopted by Odin after Loki's frost giant father Laufey had been killed in battle. For all of their childhood, Loki was jealous of Thor. Loki's jealousy, which grew to hatred, resulted in a desire to kill Thor. Thus began Loki's enmity for Thor, which persisted for many centuries. For example, when Thor was 8, Odin sent him to Nidavellir, the land of the dwarves, to bid the dwarf lords Brock and Eitri to create 3 treasures for Asgard's ruler. Among the 3 treasures that Brock and Eitri created was the Uru hammer Mjolnir, although Loki sabotaged the creation of the hammer so that its handle was made too short by distracting the dwarven weaponsmiths. Odin bestowed various enchantments upon the hammer, including one that made it impossible for anyone to lift it except someone who was truly worthy of wielding it. Odin then declared that he was reserving the use of Mjolnir for Thor, who would receive it on the day that great deeds of selfless valor had proved him worthy of its power. Many of the stories contradict each other. This story of the origin of Mjolnir was contradicted by another records that showed Odin wielding Mjolnir long before Thor was even born. For years, Thor strove to become physically strong enough to wield the hammer, and was responsible for many heroic deeds. Finally, when Thor was 16, Odin sent him and his friends Balder and Sif on a quest to teach him what was truly required to wield Mjolnir, which was a pure heart. Thor became Asgard's greatest warrior. Before Thor was 20, he had fallen in love with the goddess Sif. In fact, when Sif had been kidnapped by storm giants and ended up as a prisoner of Hela, Thor offered his own life in exchange for Sif's freedom. The goddess of death was so impressed by the young thunder god's nobility that she let both of them go. The romance between Sif and Thor waxed and waned over the centuries. According to the severed eye of Odin, it was Odin himself who later caused Thor to live on Earth in the mortal guises of the Germanic heroes Sigmund and his son, Siegfried. In these 2 roles, Thor played a major role in Odin's efforts to regain the dangerously powerful ring of the Nibelung. The warrior Hunding killed Sigmund, but Thor was reborn as Siegfried, the son of Siegmund and his lover Sieglinde. Siegfried took possession of the ring after killing the giant Fafnir, who guarded it in the guise of a dragon. This Fafnir is not to be confused with the Fafnir, the former king of Nastrond. James Allison stated that the tale of Siegfried battling Fafnir, and many other similar accounts, were mythical tales originated as a pale racial memory of the battle of one of his previous incarnations, Njord, with the worm of the country of the worm. Siegfried then fell in love with the Valkyrie Brunhilde but was murdered by Hagen, the son of Alberich, the dwarf who had created the ring and placed a curse upon it. Odin, however, resurrected Siegfried as Thor, who again had his full godly powers, but wiped out Thor's memory of his two mortal identities. It is unclear how much, if any, of this account by Odin's severed eye is true. Sometime in the 9th century AD, Thor traveled to Earth to promote his worship among the Vikings. Both the Norsemen and the Germans, who called him Donner, Thunder, came to worship Thor and other Asgardians. Thor actively encouraged the adulation of his Viking worshippers for years, and also encouraged them to find glory in battle.